There is something they are not telling you. Not with words, not out loud, but you can feel it. You have felt it for a while now. The way they post a little too much. The way they seem a little too fine. The way they moved on a little too fast, or at least they want you to believe they did. And somewhere deep inside you, you are not sure whether to feel relieved or devastated by that. Stay with this video, because what I am about to tell you is not just about them. It is about something far more important, something happening inside of you that this whole situation is quietly revealing. There is a reason you are still watching, and it is not what you think. When someone pretends to move on, they do it in a very specific way. They become visible, they make noise, they fill the silence with activity, new photos, new energy, new everything. On the surface, it looks like healing. It looks like progress. It looks like they have found peace. But real peace does not announce itself. Real peace does not need an audience. Carl Jung once explored something that most people never want to face, the idea that the things we perform loudly on the outside are usually covering something we cannot face on the inside. He called it the persona. The mask we wear not just for others, but to protect ourselves from our own truth. When someone pretends to move on, they are not lying to you, they are lying to themselves, and that is a much heavier thing to carry. Here is the deeper truth that most people miss entirely, and this is the part I want you to hold on to. Pretending to move on is not weakness, it is actually a form of survival. It is what the mind does when the pain is too large to sit with and too real to release. So instead of processing it, a person performs the version of themselves that has already healed. They step into the character of someone who is okay. And slowly, they hope the performance becomes true. The problem is, it usually does not. Because you cannot think your way out of something you never felt your way through. Now, I want to ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself as you listen. Who is this video really about? Because for some of you, this is about someone you loved, someone who left, who seemed to vanish into a new life almost immediately, who made you feel like you were easy to replace. And that hurt. That hurt in a way that is very hard to explain. But for others of you, and I say this gently, this video is about you. You are the one pretending. You are the one posting. You are the one telling yourself that you are fine when something inside you is still sitting in that old room waiting for something you are not even sure you want anymore. Both of these experiences are real. Both of them deserve to be understood. Let us talk about what is actually happening beneath the performance. When someone cannot genuinely move on, it is almost never about the other person. Not really. What they are actually attached to is a feeling, a version of themselves that existed inside that relationship. The safety, the certainty, the sense of being chosen, the identity that came from being loved by that specific person. When the relationship ends, it is not just the other person they lose a version of themselves. And that is a grief most people are never taught to process, because they are so focused on the loss of the person that they never mourn the loss of who they were when they were with that person. This is why moving on is so much harder than it looks. You are not just letting go of a person, you are letting go of a self. And that is terrifying. Here is what most people get completely wrong about healing after loss. They try to feel better instead of feeling through. They distract themselves. They stay busy. They convince themselves that enough time will solve it. They find someone new too quickly, or they throw themselves into work, or they build a whole new image online that looks like freedom but is actually just a more attractive cage. None of it works. Not really. Because the wound does not disappear when you look away from it. It waits, quietly, patiently, in your reactions, your triggers, your sleep, your next relationship, your relationship with yourself. It waits until you are ready to finally face it. The person who is pretending to move on is living in this waiting room. They just do not know it yet. And if that person is you, I am not here to judge you. I am here to offer you something more useful than judgment. I want to offer you a question. Not a task, not a method, just a question. to sit with tonight, in the quiet, before you sleep. Ask yourself, what feeling am I afraid will still be there if I stop pretending? Not who, what feeling? Is it unworthiness? The fear that you are not enough? The fear that you are too much? The fear that love, real love, will always eventually leave? The fear that who you are, without someone choosing you, is not someone you know how to be? Sit with that. Do not rush past it. Do not turn it into a plan or a strategy. Just feel it. Let it be real for a moment. Because here is the twist I promised you. The performance of moving on is not the real problem. The real problem is what the performance is protecting. And what it is protecting almost always is a belief. A quiet, deep, painful belief that was probably installed long before this relationship ever began. A belief that says, I am only valuable when I am chosen. I am only safe when I am loved. I am only real when someone else confirms me. This is the unconscious wound that most people carry into every relationship they ever have. And until it is seen, really seen, every new relationship, every loss, every moment of rejection will hit the same tender spot inside you, and the cycle continues. The person pretending to move on is not broken. They are simply unaware of the wound underneath the performance. And awareness, honest, gentle, painful awareness, is the only thing that can begin to change it. If this video has spoken to something real inside you, stay a little longer. Let it land. Here is what genuine healing actually looks like, and it is not what most people imagine. It is not a moment of dramatic transformation. It is not a morning you wake up and suddenly feel free. It is quieter than that. It is the moment you stop needing to perform. The moment you sit alone and feel the sadness without immediately reaching for your phone. The moment you stop checking their profile. The moment you realize you have gone an entire day without constructing a version of yourself for their invisible gaze. That is healing. Small, quiet, deeply personal. Real freedom is not the absence of pain. It is the presence of yourself fully, without needing someone else to make that feel justified. And the most important truth in this entire video is this. You do not need them to have actually moved on for you to heal. You do not need to know whether their happiness is real or performed. You do not need closure from them. You do not need them to admit what they still feel. Because the healing has never been about them. It has always been about you returning to yourself, to the part of you that existed before they arrived, to the part of you that is whole even in the silence, to the part of you that deserves love not as a reward for performing correctly, but simply because you are here and you are human, and that has always been enough. Start there. Come back to that. Let them perform their healing. Let them have their story. And give yourself the gift of something far more rare, the courage to feel real. If this is the kind of depth you have been searching for, the kind that does not just explain your situation but actually moves something inside you, then you already know what to do. The truth was never lost. It was just waiting for a quiet moment like this one. And now you have it.